Hello and welcome to the Fertility Rewire podcast, a place for information and discussion around topics relevant to fertility. I'm your host, Kat Stevens, a fertility coach and founder of Fertility Rewire, which is a program designed to break through the overwhelm of information available and help you work specifically with the intrinsic design of fertility and help it adapt to today's modern world. You can find online resources at fertilityrewire.com and find me on Instagram and Facebook. In this first ever episode, I start to tell you why I'm doing the podcast and what I hope to achieve. And just as a note, that just at the very end of recording, the heavens opened. And although it might sound like there's a small rodent scurrying around, it's actually the rain on the skylight. So this is my first episode of the Fertility Rewire podcast, and I'm so excited. It's been part of something I've wanted to do for a long time now. And I thought that in this introductory episode, I would explain what it is, what I hope the podcast will be, and why I'm doing it. So my name is Kat Stevens. I'm from a nursing and science background initially, but I've been a natural fertility therapist now for over 8 years, and actually, really, rather than natural, it's a tradition. I use traditional therapies. I'm a mum to 2 children who I had when I was 38 and 39 respectively, and I'll talk to you about that as we go further in. I started working with fertility reflexology and then fertility massage therapy within my clinic in Nottingham in the United Kingdom, and being specifically trained in these therapies means that I have a great understanding of fertility, how nutrition and lifestyle factors affect this, looking at identifying ovulation signs and tracking monthly cycles, and looking at the differentiation between the different phases in cycles and what different issues might mean. But one of the things that I found, and this was the same for myself when I too had looked at starting a family, is that the only thing I'd really ever been told was that if I have unprotected sex at the right time, then I'll get pregnant. And it's not that for so many people. And so many people that I've worked with over the years, I've found that the emotional issues, the stresses, the emotion that comes up when not getting pregnant, the strain on other parts of their life, how fertility becomes that single focus and all-consuming, was a huge part of it. And so I started to work more with the mind and body therapies that I utilise myself, and through further training and education and experience in mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and hypnosis. I use these skills along with other mind and body skills within my work. I've embraced this mind and body approach to my own health challenges. I was diagnosed with MS in 2005, and through the changes I've made, my condition is now benign, which I'm sure I'll discuss at some point if that's something you want to hear about. But a lot of what I do applies to fertility, particularly with regard to inflammation in the body. But I still remain a science geek, and I still need to find the causes. So why am I doing this podcast? Well, I've rambled on a little bit, but the reason I'm doing the podcast is that my passion is that everybody knows and understands the intrinsic design of fertility within their own body. It's not just egg and sperm. Of course, they are vitally important, and there are a lot of factors that affect it that I'm going to talk about. But I want people to know and understand that for the survival of a species, there needs to be safety, sustenance, and procreation. And those 3 areas we will break down. Those 3 areas we will look at the implications and how the body can change and shut systems down. And I will repeat this time and time again, that procreation is the only thing that we really seem to focus on. And also within the fertility health model that we're in, it's about the egg and the sperm and getting them together. Fertility Rewire is a program that I developed, and I work with my clients looking at the physical elements that affect fertility, the emotional elements, and also the interaction between the two. We look inwardly at this incredibly complex system that we have and start to understand how the power of our emotional system, which is designed to keep us safe, can just put a halt to things and change how the physical is working. How effects on the physical system can tell the body that things aren't right for reproduction too. So the aim of the podcast is to inform at a basic level, explore the relevance and discuss the implications and also the barriers that we have to change, to help you with the overwhelm of information out there. And I know your time is valuable, so I will try to get to the point. I hope that it will bring you some useful information and relative discussion, and maybe just open up a different viewpoint. My aim is not to be preachy, but to give you the information and the tools that you can then take forward to start to look inwardly yourself, rather than just outwardly. Our healthcare model, as I've said, is about looking outwardly, to address things on the surface, which is all well and good, and don't get me wrong on that. But let's start to just look inwardly ourselves and to try to look more at potential causes rather than always looking for a solution. Because these solutions aren't always a one-stop shop. All too often, this one size does not fit all. So I really hope that you enjoy the podcast. I really value your feedback. And if you'd like to be a guest, then just get in touch, please. And when I've worked out the technology for that, we can have a chat. I'm really excited to be starting this, to start my mission of supporting those of you on this fertility wheel. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and perhaps it provoked some thought. Through information and exploration, we can achieve transformation if we engage the mind and body connection. So possibly it's time for a rewire, but it's certainly time to tame your fertility tigers. For further online resources, please visit fertilityrewire.com, and you can find me at Fertility Rewire on Instagram and Facebook.